Hi guys, Black Wolf, and I'm gonna read chapter 31. So, Connor's dinner that night was served in the great hall, not the dining room where we'd eaten all week. Several guests were already there, but the princess and her parents, who apparently had accompanied her to Fountainwood, had not entered yet. I was assigned as a door servant with no apparent function other than to stand by the doors of the great hall and observe as the other servants came and went. Tobias's and Roden's assignment was no better. They stood at the far end of the room and tasked with the job of closing the curtains if the setting sun got in anyone's eyes. Mott announced Princess Amarinda's arrival along with the entrance of her parents and some of their courtiers. Amarinda was as beautiful as Connor had described her, with the chestnut brown hair swept away from her face and falling in thick curls down her back, and piercing brown eyes that absorbed her surroundings. As she recognized Connor, her entire face lit up with a smile that was warm and inviting. Here in Connor's home, the guests had made the owner feel welcome. Connor stood along with the others at his table and bowed to Princess Amarinda and to her parents. Master Graves told us about them and how Amarinda came to be the betrothed princess. The alliance between Amarinda and the house of King Egbert was made at her birth. She was 3 years younger than Darius, and the product of a lengthy search by Egbert. He wanted a foreign girl whose connections were powerful enough to forge a marriage that would create a bond between her country and Carthia, but not a direct heir to the throne, who would have political ambitions of her own. Amarinda was a niece to the king of Bimyar before she was even old enough to crawl as an infant. Her parents had promised her to whoever inherited Egbert's throne, most likely Darius, and although she'd never been given the choice in marriage, the older Amarinda became, the more her admiration for Darius grew. Both were said to be eager for the time when she'd be of age and they could marry. Amarinda stopped when she passed me beside the door. "What are you staring at?" Whatever rules Mott had given us blurred in my head. I could speak to her if she was addressing me, but she was only addressing me because I looked right at her, which was not allowed. "Forgive him, Highness," Mott said, stepping forward. "No forgiveness is requested. I merely wondered what a servant found so interesting." I looked to Mott to see if I should answer with a stern warning in his eyes. He nodded permission on me, and I said, "You got dirt on your face." She arched her eyebrows. "Is that a joke?" "No, Your Highness, on your cheek." Amarinda turned to her attendant, who flushed and wiped the dirt off. "Why didn't you tell me before I walked in here?" Amarinda asked her. "You led the way, Highness. I didn't see." "But he did, and he's only a servant." She turned back to me apologetically. "Before leaving my room, I had the window open and paused to look out. I must have gotten some dirt on my face then." "I never said the dirt distracted from your beauty, Highness. I told her only that it was there." With a somewhat embarrassed smile, she nodded at me in return and continued on, taking her seat. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught Connor looking at me, though his expression was so controlled I couldn't tell whether he was amused, relieved, or furious. Dinner smelled so good it was served that it took considerable willpower not to reveal that I was in disguise at that moment and to sit down and eat with the others. A large roast had been prepared with boiled carrots and potatoes, not hot bread, and some sort of imported cheese, the name of which I didn't recognize when Connor offered it to Amarinda. Imogen was one of the servants in the meal. I noticed a cut on her forehead and wondered if Connor would dismiss that as yet another clumsy moment. No matter how long I stared at her as she served, she avoided my eye each time she entered or exited the room. Had I offended her somehow, or was she keeping herself away from the increasing danger that surrounded Connor's plans? Across the room, Tobias was disinterested and lackluster. He stared at the floor and soon faded into the background. Roden looked hungry, and I caught him staring at the princess with a powerful expression of admiration. The conversation at the table began with shallow pleasantries. Connor described his life in the country away from the politics of Juliet. Amarinda discussed her travels as she toured Cadria in the recent weeks. Her parents understood that as an heir to the throne she was far more important than they were, and deferred to her in leading the conversation. After the main course was served, Connor steered the conversation directly to the topic I was sure he had intended for us to hear: the plans for her eventual wedding and the ascension to the throne. Amarinda pressed her lips together and said, "Perhaps there will never be a wedding." She glanced over at Connor, who feigned appropriate concern. After a moment she added, There's a rumor that came to me only a few days ago regarding the king and queen and their son. Oh, Connor's wide eyes actually looked curious. He knew exactly what the rumor was, and I couldn't help but respect his acting skills. You haven't heard it? I was told the king and queen and their son are touring the northern country, which they often did at this time of the year. And may I ask when you last saw them? It's been a few weeks, Connor said, before their trip to Glean, and they were well? Certainly. Amarinda's father spoke up. There's rumor. Then the rumor cannot be true. He heaved a sigh of relief and took his wife's hand. She also looked relieved. Rumors have always surrounded the royal family, Connor said, and if the matter was settled, it's the cheapest entertainment for everyday folk. There was laughter at the table except for Amarinda, whose solemn voice took control of the room. I heard they're dead. Murdered. The laughter fell silent, and she continued. All three of them. Poisoned during supper and dead by morning. Bob glanced at me from his position and shook his head, warning me not to react. I forced a disinterested blank expression onto my face. Despite the turning of my stomach, if I reacted, Connor would change the subject, but I needed them to continue talking about it. Because no matter how easily he could avoid giving us more details, he'd have a harder time dodging the princess. However, the one question at the top of my mind was, I knew she never asked, would the person who steps in as the prince become the next victim? Connor leaned forward and clasped his hands together. Highness, you are scheduled to be at the castle in Juliet tomorrow, correct? Then she nodded. She said, let the rumor lie until then. Whether it's true or false, it will be verified once you're there. Waiting is more easily said than done. Amarinda's voice was heavy with sadness. There is no heir. There is no betrothed princess. I'll be a widow without having married. Even if the rumor is true, there may be another way. Connor said, perhaps all is not lost for you, or Garcia. Amarinda arched an eyebrow, curious. Connor waited for several seconds to continue, which I knew was to increase her anticipation. It was heartless and even cruel. Finally, he said, what if Prince Sharon were still alive? Amarinda froze. Everyone at the table did, except Connor, who was enjoying this moment far too well. He manipulated those around him as though we were all pawns in a swift game. I hated that my life had become intertwined with his. Finally, Amarinda's mother said, everyone knows Prince Sharon was killed by pirates 4 years ago. Are you telling us this is not so? I'm only saying that there is always hope, Connor said, addressed himself to Amarinda. Highness, perhaps you may soon claim the throne after all. Am I that shallow? Amarinda stood angry. Do you think I care about the throne and not the prince? Do you talk about Sharon's return as if it will solve all our problems? But it's Darius who concerns me. I need to know if he is alive. She closed her eyes a moment, regaining calm, then said more softly, you must forgive me, but I'd like to return to my room. I have a headache. Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop here. I know, but I'm gonna have to cut this in half because this is a long chapter. So, like I said before, please don't leave down in the comments what you'd like to see me do. Challenges you'd like to see me do. Songs you'd like to see me hear. Or hear me sing. And, I will mouth songs. Lip sync songs. I will sing songs. You can tell me which one. And then I will also leave down below some books I can do audiobooks for, and I will leave down below some games that I can videotape you playing, and you can decide which ones you want to see. So, please subscribe. Don't leave me hanging there. Please put subscribe. And see you next time. But yeah, it's gonna be the next one's gonna be 13. That's gonna be The False Prince audiobook. The end of 13. Okay? The False Prince audiobook. The end of 13. Because I have to cut it in half. So, goodbye and see you next time.